All right, hockey fans, here we go. Montreal and Washington, game 4. Montreal needs to get this sucker back to Montreal. So in order to do that, they need to win today in Montreal. Series is 2-1. Earlier in the day, Kyle and I made the right choice. We weren't sure which games we wanted to stream tonight. We figured, we'll leave the earlier games alone. And St. Louis now has put the fear of God into the Winnipeg Jets. And the Canes are one step away from clinching as they just beat the crap out of the Devils. My apologies to the Winnipeg Jets fan that came to the noon stream a few weeks ago, whom I promised that the Jets would not choke in the first round. So there's that. So what are we going to see today? I picked I picked Montreal to win this series, and they still can't. Obviously, the first 2 games, or 3 games really, were dead close. They've all been close, and with just a little bounce here or there, Montreal could be winning this series. Now, the goalie situation is going to be tricky. I haven't heard a whole lot, so I'm about ready to find out myself. I know that yesterday Logan Thompson wasn't in practice, and Monty, I guess they were saying he was still being evaluated. That's the last thing I heard yesterday, and then after my Panthers did what they did last night, I haven't been checking. I looked at the highlights from what happened after the Panthers game, and then we had the noon stream. So I'm not sure who we're going to see out there. What I know is nobody called me to play goalie, so it can't be that bad. Now, if it's backup versus backup, I still put the edge there with Montreal because not anything against Lindgren, but Dobish has done well, and I just feel like Washington has been really counting on Logan Thompson to make a lot of incredible saves, which he has been doing. So, I don't know. I hate seeing players get hurt, but if it's going to be a 1-for-1 goalie swap and the rest of the series are the backups, there's that. If Monty can play, well, then Monty can play, but a hamstring and a goalie, that's a little bit tricky. So, what I'd like to see tonight is no overtime. Can we finish this game in regulation? That would be the best thing for everybody involved. And then we get this sucker back to Montreal for Game 6, where the Canadiens win and keep my bracket moving forward. I'm not that bright. I don't know what to tell you. I picked them in 6. It could still happen. Let's see how this goes. All right, so no score after. Come on. There we go. No score after 1. Monty is out, and Logan Thompson is in. And I don't know how the dude plays the day after he could hardly get off the ice. So maybe he was just in a lot of pain, but there wasn't a bad injury. Obviously, he's out there. Both goalies have made some saves. Made some really good saves. There's been 3 power plays in the game so far. All 3, either way, I think kind of weak calls. Like that easily should have and could have been a period just without any calls. There wasn't any necessarily overt bad penalties. Just I think the refs just want their ice time. They want their camera time. Other than that, it's just pretty much the same exact game these teams have played all along. It's just close, tight, defensive. Washington leads 6-5 in shots. Certainly ain't going to be 6-5 in goals anytime soon with these two. All right, let's move on to the second period. All right, so 2-1 Montreal after 2. The team is not so bad for a bunch of young kids, huh? So Washington gets 1, and then Montreal gets Demidov on the power play, makes a beautiful move behind the net, and gets it to Slavkovsky, who buries it. And then here on another power play, Caulfield one-times it short side right past Logan Thompson. Now, there's been a lot of penalties in this period, in this game. And honestly, and I'm not trying to pick and choose sides here, up until this last penalty, the one that Ovechkin hit Evans, looks like he hit him high. They didn't slow it down enough to make it look for us to really see if it was a headshot or not. So they just gave Ovechkin 2 minutes. That was a very clear penalty. The only other penalty I didn't see because TBS lost the broadcast was the first penalty that whatever they called on Montreal, and then the second one gave Washington a 5-on-3. So I agree with the Ovechkin call. I didn't see that first one, but every other call including whichever one's going away. The ones that have been called against Washington, ones called against Montreal have been garbage. Very, very weak calls. They have no place being called in the postseason. You just don't do that. Guys are always going to be a little bit aggressive, a little bit late, a little bit heavy. That's called playoff hockey. There was one Washington or Montreal, I think it was the one where Demidov got the puck to Slavkovsky. I can't say his name, but somebody for Washington got called for interference or roughing in the crease, and it's just playoff hockey. It's just normal playoff hockey, trying to keep guys out of the crease and keep your goalie's crease clean. These refs have been bad today, and I would have liked to have seen, Montreal scored in the power play, but I would have liked to have seen that Ovechkin hit slow down. If Kachuk laid that hit, we would have had 5,000 angles from we would have had satellite pictures, and they would have shown it in slow motion and reversed and everything like that. But Ovi hits a guy, and they're like, quick, show the replay. Okay, that's it. Don't show that again. So, now, Montreal, hold on to this, and you tie the series. Hold on to this lead. We definitely have to come back for Game 6 in Montreal. That's what I picked in my bracket, was Montreal in 6. So the fact that that could happen, just as long as we don't have to play Montreal in East Conference Finals. I don't feel so bad now as a Panther fan that we couldn't beat Montreal this year, because they're giving Washington, even if Washington wins this series, they're giving Washington everything that they can handle. So Panthers better win their second cup this year, because Montreal is a little bit better than they should be at this age. They're gonna be a hard task. Right. Let's move on and see how this finishes up. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Damn it. I don't know why I wanted Montreal to win so bad. It just started because like 6 weeks, month ago left in the season, I just kept cracking the joke that Montreal was going to get the 8th seed and beat the Capitals, so I just stuck with that. Series isn't over yet, but this hurts. This one hurts. Montreal enters the third period with a 2-1 lead at home. Chance to tie the series at 2-2, forced it to come back to Montreal for Game 6, and Washington gets a couple of goals there. The last one is tied at 2-2 for a while, and then Dobish lets one in net. Goaltending makes a difference in the playoffs. It genuinely does. Logan Thompson out there. I don't know. I think, I know the Panthers have a cloning machine, because whenever Forsling goes off the ice looking like he's out for the rest of the year, he just comes back out new and fresh and totally fine. So I have a feeling that Washington has one of those as well, because Logan Thompson could barely skate off the ice, needed assistance, and he's back in net tonight. He really didn't look like there was any ill effects there. So the difference on the ice was basically Washington's experience. Montreal is playing probably about as well as they can. They didn't have a ton of shots on net, though. Not a lot of shots on goal today. They're not making Logan Thompson really work. There's not a lot of rebounds. It's a lot of one-and-dones and everything like that. And Washington just knows how to just stay focused and stay settled. And they have been hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. And Montreal, maybe at the end of this game, didn't have the same amount of jump that we've seen them have in previous games. They might have got a little tight. They might have got a little tight there, up 2-1, right? Things got a little bit real there. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to hold it together. And then it was only 3-2, but then they emptied the net with, 2.5, 3 minutes left, whatever it was. And 5 seconds in, Hudson gets the puck at the blue line and kind of panics. And rookie playoffs, first series, panics instead of just making sure the puck gets deep. I don't even know what he was trying to do, but ends up on a 2-on-1 Washington the other way. It's in the back of the empty net. Now is it. They got another empty net, of course, because Tom Wilson had to find a way to do it. But So while the series isn't over, that's a tall task now for Montreal. They did get the one game. Really felt like they could have won this game, but they did not have the same jump in the third period that we've seen. I think they got just a wee bit, just a little bit, and Tom Wilson's still out there laying those big hits, and it might be starting to take an effect on those kids in terms of just not being as confident and just freewheeling around when you've got that guy just out there ready to level you. So one more game here. Can Montreal win a game in Washington? I mean, the other ones went to overtime, right? There was at least the second game went to overtime. So, I mean, they're keeping it so close. This game was completely close until the last few minutes. And does Monty make that save? I mean, it was a good shot. It's high over the shoulder, past the glove, a little bit of a screen there. So it's not a terrible goal. It wasn't like, it wasn't an awful one. But it's one that, if you want to win a cup, your goalie has to make those saves. You know what I mean? You have to have the incredible saves to win a cup. I mean, just go watch the last 5 minutes of Game 7 with the Panthers, and you watch Bobrovsky make some saves that nobody has business making. That's what you need to win a cup most of the time. So, all right, series isn't over, unfortunately. I don't know if we'll be able to cover. When do they play again? Do they play Wednesday or do they play Thursday? Because Panthers play Monday. No, Panthers play Monday and Wednesday. Yeah, Panthers play Monday, Wednesday. I think the next game in this series is Wednesday, so we won't be able to cover that game because there's just so many games going on at once. Obviously, we have to cover the Panther game at the same time. Now, all the series in the East have ended up 3-1. Panthers and Lightning play tomorrow night. Florida wins. It's 3-1. You get the idea. So, all right. Damn it, Montreal. Really just, I'm not saying I'm disappointed. I really wanted to see that series get tied. I really thought that they had a chance. Although, at the end of the road of all of that, if Montreal was to beat Washington, I think they might beat Carolina too. And then if Florida ends up all the way in the Eastern Conference Finals again, they would be playing a Canadiens team that they didn't beat at all during the regular season. So, how about this game? At least this series at least gets to 6 games, where Washington out just a little bit. So, all right. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate all the support. I will see you tomorrow I'll be live tomorrow at noon like we normally are. And then tomorrow night, Panthers got to get back on the horse against the Lightning. All right, we'll see you then.